Elon Musk had my wife fired from her dream job. Woo! Y'all, grab some popcorn. This one's gonna get spicy. That's good. All right, quick story. On Valentine's Day 2025, I was doing what any perfect husband would be doing. Snow drifting in a GR Corolla by myself, well over 1,000 miles away from my lovely wife. Just to set the record straight, I'm not a good person, but I do have a lot of fun. Now that morning, my wife sends me a text. I've been fired. Not too long after, I crashed into a snowbank. I'm sure it's unrelated. So maybe you're thinking, oh, Jason, your wife worked for Tesla? Cool. Is that why you're so often singing Tesla's praises? No. My wife works for U.S. Fish and Wildlife. She's a federal employee, and she was fired by the dinguses. Oh, I'm sorry, it says geniuses, bad at reading, at the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, which was led by Elon Musk at the time. So this leaves me with two options. Option one, I could sell my Tesla. Or option two, oh, hey, what do you know? Oops. Actually, that's really expensive. I need that. Let me put aside jokes for just 1 second. My wife is genuinely the most amazing person I've ever met. And I've met Keanu Reeves. My wife is brilliant. She's ambitious. She's a tougher human than I am, while being more beautiful. I don't think anyone was doubting those last two. She has a level of empathy for the natural world that is just so refreshing and warming to see. Reminds me of my comments section. She's an incredible human, and so with all of that mushiness out of the way, you're right, I'm gonna take this opportunity to throw some jokes Elon's way. Not only because comedy is now legal, but also because he played a very large role in ripping apart her career. We'll get into that later in the video, and she'll get back on her feet. She's resilient, she's determined, and nothing is forever, except for videos you post on the internet. I really should have gotten a haircut. But this isn't about me. We're here to talk about what it's been like living with an electric car the past 7 years. More specifically, the Model 3 Performance. And, you know, lightly roast Elon, which he does not make difficult. But honestly, this car has been great to me. Let's start with a bit of a cost breakdown, starting with energy. I've driven the car over 63,000 miles, using about 18,400 kilowatt hours of energy. Based on my electricity pricing, that has cost me less than $2,000. Under $2,000 to drive a car 63,000 miles. For reference, if I were to drive a comparably powerful gas-powered sedan, it would have likely cost me over $12,000. It is really impressive how fast this thing is, while also being very cheap to run. Now, of course, part of that cost is maintenance, so I'll put up everything on screen that has happened with my car as far as service, whether performed by Tesla or myself, which comes to a grand total of $3,262.10. Now, that number is high mostly because of hitting a pothole in 20-inch wheels, which blew 2 tires and 2 wheels, costing over $2,600. So realistically, excluding the exploded wheels, my total maintenance was under $600 for 7 years and 60,000 miles. Not bad at all. And honestly, not having to think about oil changes is truly the best. Now, you might be wondering about tires, because EVs are heavy and have a ton of torque, so they go through tires quickly. The thing is, I have a bit of a tire obsession, or problem. It's a problem. I've had at least 10 sets of tires on this car, and at least 6 sets of wheels. I have no idea how long tires should last on it because I swap them too quickly. Buying tires is my form of therapy, suppressing my real emotions by rotating them regularly. As far as insurance, it's the same as my gas cars. Both my Tesla Model 3 and GR Corolla are each about $120 a month. It does have a significantly higher annual registration fee because it includes a road tax since I'm not paying it through gasoline. Fun fact that's very frequently misunderstood, yes, EV owners are absolutely paying a meaningful road tax. Now, the biggest chunk of change we haven't talked about yet, depreciation. But luckily, this is no problemo. These tortilla chips are really getting to me. Quoting Elon from an interview with Lex Friedman, if you buy a Tesla today, I believe you're buying an appreciating asset, not a depreciating asset. Sick. So just as a comparison, I put my 8-year-old Subaru Crosstrek on Carvana, which I'd bought for $25,000, and it came back with an offer for $15,000. So after 8 years, it was still worth 60% of its original value. I did the same with my 7-year-old Tesla, which I bought for $67,000 and was offered less than $17,000. In other words, after just 7 years, the car is only worth 25% of its original value. That is an incredible amount of depreciation. But Elon, if you're still listening, I still believe in you. You're clearly a much more successful businessman than myself. Dumb internet kid. So I am willing to part ways with this Model 3 to you exclusively for $100,000, a modest 50% appreciation. Elon, this is a great deal. Okay, so $50,000 in depreciation in 7 years definitely isn't cool. But sports cars are not investments, especially not mass-produced electric ones, so that's no surprise at all. If you want to buy an EV in the most financially savvy way, buy used. Okay, but what about the car itself? How it drives, features, and so on. Here's the thing. I know after posting this video, for the rest of my life, Blue Check Gang from Twitter is going to be saying I'm biased against Tesla. And yet, contrary to that bot army's broken logic, I have no problem admitting I love this car, and I think it's exceptional. I genuinely believe it to be one of the best daily drivers available today, even 7 years after its launch. Personally and professionally, I have a lot of respect for the engineers and employees making things happen at Tesla. But also professionally, you might be surprised to learn that I've always respected Elon's overpromise and underdeliver strategy. I mean, think about it. Let's just take one vehicle as an example, the Cybertruck. Okay, so you could tell people that at max, it only gets 366 miles of range. Ew, low, boo. Or you could say it gets over 500 miles of range. And even though it doesn't, 500 sounds like a really big number. That's just smart. You could be honest and say it only has 11,000 pounds of towing capacity. Ugh, boring. Why not just make up that it has 14,000 pounds of towing capacity? 14 is bigger than 11. Hello. You could tell people the real price, that it's at minimum $70,000. But who's got $70,000 for a rear-wheel drive truck? What a joke! So you just say it starts at $40,000. That sounds great. And then to cap it all off, you tell people production starts in 2021. That gets them excited, gets the juices flowing. Because when they receive a product that doesn't meet the promises made, they'll probably be sad. So delay production a few years and start delivering in 2023. That way, they have 2 more years to be excited about it before their inevitable disappointment. Genuinely extending people's happiness. This is life-changing work. And that's not even to mention Tesla Roadster, Model S Plaid Plus, Tesla Semi, full self-driving. The dude continues to overpromise, then delay, so that you can continue to have something to look forward to. If they were already here, you'd be like, okay, now what? Anyways, Elon, great guy. But legit, let's cover the best and worst features of this car. Starting with the best features, the driving experience is genuinely exceptional. The car has some of the best throttle control on the market, whether you're talking about low speed control, transient response, pedal mapping, one pedal driving, they simply nail it. The brake pedal feel is also great, and part of this is thanks to regen not being tied to the brake pedal, which is purely mechanical. Love it. There is a disadvantage to this methodology. If you are a late hard braker, this is less efficient. Some pedals incorporate regen up to 0.6 G. This is at about 0.2 G. So if you're touching the brake pedal in this car, you're wasting energy. Personally though, I almost never touch the brake pedal, so it's easy to drive efficiently and using just one pedal. The driving dynamics are also good. It's a fun car to drive hard. Of course, having a low center of gravity helps, but also most performance EVs are extremely heavy. This one is a little over 4,000 pounds. That's still quite heavy, but not in comparison to the competition. As far as the charging experience and Tesla superchargers, these are also amazing. I'm glad we're mass adopting this charging style because it's so much better than the current alternatives. And speaking of charging and batteries, you might be curious, after 7 years and 63,000 miles, how much has my battery degraded? Well, I ran the service test and the result is 85% of the original battery life. Honestly, I was expecting this to be slightly better. But so many people still think you have to replace these batteries after 2 years, and that's just nonsense. And battery technology only continues to improve. Now, there's a few features I haven't talked about yet that I think Tesla really deserves some credit for implementing. First, up front, it uses radar. This is great for measuring distance and speed, and it works great even if it's raining or foggy. Pretty clever. It also has ultrasonic sensors. They're really good at measuring distances of nearby objects, so Tesla put them in places where the cameras can't see. Hey, that's pretty smart. Inside the car, you can see they don't skimp out on the passenger seat. It also has lumbar support adjustment. Nice. In the driver's seat, you've got a gear selector. I love this. And a turn signal, like almost every other car that's ever existed. But this one's made by Tesla. Cool. You can even honk the horn by pressing the center of the steering wheel. Whoa! Now, you might see this list of features and think, Jason, those are all pretty common, obvious features that any car should include. But would you believe it? There is a car company out there that has eliminated many of these features from their newer cars. No thank you. But honestly, for the amount it costs, which as of recording this is $55,000 for the new one, almost everything about the car is excellent. The whole experience, start to finish. But, and it is a big but, relatable. There's one feature that's absolutely horrendous, and that is the automatic windshield wipers. They're about as useful as I would be in a cage fight against Mark Zuckerberg. Elon knows what I'm talking about. Even 7 years after owning it, if it's lightly raining and you go in reverse, the wipers go absolutely bananas. It makes no sense. I'm not even driving that direction. So dumb. But you know what's not dumb? That's right, bald eagles. Everyone loves bald eagles. The bald eagle has been a symbol of the United States since 1782. Freedom, strength, things you think about when you see me flex. I'm sorry for that. Unfortunately, in the early to mid-1900s, habitat loss, hunting, and the pesticide DDT caused bald eagle populations to plummet. Someone had to step in to save these rad raptors. Well, US Fish and Wildlife, a tiny sliver of our government, said, yo, bald eagles, we gotta keep these things around. Multiple protections were put in place, including listing bald eagles on the Endangered Species Act in 1978. DDT was banned, which was thinning out eagles' eggshells and harming reproduction. US Fish and Wildlife helped put in place numerous programs to bring back bald eagle populations. And by 2007, the bald eagle was removed from the endangered species list. A remarkable recovery. Now, eagles still have other protections in place, so don't go grabbing them. But to summarize, previous generations of people just like my wife are the reason why this recovery happened. And as a result, we get to commonly witness bald eagles in the States. How cool is that? Now, bald eagles get to spend all of their time chilling and fishing and hanging out. They ain't got no job. Hey, speaking of jobless, my wife. As I've been recording this video, I've really thought about it, and it's all starting to make sense. But you don't have that context, so let me hook you up. You see, I met this lovely woman in college. She was studying biology and zoology, and she had a group of friends that started a nonprofit chapter educating students on animal conservation. Her first job after college was working for a nonprofit to help protect endangered species. She worked there for several years, not paid all that much, all to save animals that refuse to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Animals are so lazy. She quit that job to go back to school for 7 cumulative years to get a master's degree studying small carnivores and a PhD, whatever that means, studying wildlife trade in the United States. She then took those 15 years of experience studying wildlife. I remember when I was 15, I was an idiot. Still am, but anyways, with 15 years of relevant experience, she applies to US Fish and Wildlife, beating out a huge pool of candidates applying for her position, and finally lands a career working for the agency she's always wanted to help protect endangered species. And she was good at it. In less than a year, her boss had already put in for her to get a promotion, because she's awesome. And this promotion was set to go into effect after just one more week, when suddenly she received the following email firing her, which I will quote directly. "Your knowledge, skills, and abilities do not meet the department's current needs. Blah, 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 you're fired." Collect yourself. Still good. So, to summarize, she didn't have that much experience, she didn't put in that much effort, and not to mention, she married a total loser. So when the former CEO of Twitter stepped in to set our government straight, I'm like, yeah, that's what we need. This is a guy who's taken over $38 billion from US taxpayers for his companies, according to the Washington Post. So I think he knows a thing or two about government waste. So when his department looks at my wife and says, "Ma'am, your 5-figure salary," clearly she's in it for the money. That's just excessive spending. We can't have that. Well, I tend to believe him. Let's just do the math really quick. $38 billion in taxpayer funding to Elon's companies. Now, let's say $100,000 in total benefits and compensation per government employee. That's only 380,000 employees that we need to get rid of to have enough to pay our boy Elon. So then I thought, why don't we just get rid of all the US Fish and Wildlife employees? Watch this. That didn't change much. Hey babe, this Elon guy's pretty expensive. Anyways, I'm just pumped that the deficit's fixed and I don't have to worry about my tax dollars going to my wife, saving some animals. Hey, fun fact, did you know that of our entire US budget, less than 5% of the total budget goes towards federal civilian employees? And of that less than 5%, about 70% of those employees are related to national security. So my wife is a part of this tiny piece of pie that's a part of this tiny piece of pie that makes up all the federal employees that are unrelated to defense. This is kind of genius, and it goes back to that overpromise and underdeliver strategy I'm so fond of. Elon Musk said he thought DOGE could cut at least $2 trillion in government spending. If you fired every single civilian government employee, you only save 5% of our annual budget, and you're at less than 14% of Elon's goal. And that's with the government gone. It reminds me of that King of the Hill meme. If the folks working at DOGE could do math, they'd be very upset. Firing federal employees without a legitimate reason is cruel. It saves us nearly nothing, because it's not what we spend our money on, and it objectively makes our country worse. Or, as me and the blue check boys like to call it, a win-win-win. Speaking of blue checks, Elon, my man, my hero, my boy. For an inexplicable reason, I've tied my identity to you and your cars, even though we've never met and I have nothing to do with Tesla. Elon, there's something we gotta talk about, because you're good at everything, with one exception. And frankly, it's reprehensible. Elon, as someone who was the head of government efficiency, your Elden Ring build was unforgivable. Now, to everyone watching that doesn't know what Elden Ring is, it's a Souls-like... I'm just kidding, y'all are a bunch of nerds. You know what Elden Ring is. It's a game I was so obsessed with, not only did I buy it on Xbox and perfect it, but I also bought it again on Steam and perfected it again. That means I've played the entire game 6 times through. Oh, I need a life. But the point is, Elon posted his Elden Ring build. It's an intelligence build that heavy rolls. Huh, wonder where he got that idea. So we're supposed to believe that the guy who equips 2 shields on the same hand, 2 swords on the same hand, and 3 separate summons understands efficiency? Look, Elon, you can fire my wife, but do not to think I used to respect this man. Now, over the 14 years that I've been making YouTube videos, I have learned that not everyone understands sarcasm. So very briefly, I'm going to summarize all the facts from this video. And I just want to start by saying that I don't think I know better than you or anyone. I'm just some dumb kid making videos on the internet that 4 million people happen to find worth watching, and I'm very appreciative of that. But yeah, my wife really did lose her job that she worked so hard to get by the folks at Doge while Elon was in charge. And thankfully, a judge ruled that it was illegal. So after a month of her being unemployed, she was reinstated. But the whole process is still stuck in the courts. So she's currently doing the job of several people as her whole team was obliterated, and she lives in constant fear of losing her job again. So yeah, I'm selling my Tesla. As long as Elon is in charge at Tesla, I will never own one again. And I'm not sad about it. It doesn't bother me. I don't get attached to cars. I don't care. Even though it is a great car. And so to all of the federal employees that lost their jobs without a merit-based reason and happen to be watching, I'm truly sorry. This chip is for you. Might have been on the floor. But fortunately, this video does have a happy ending because there's something we can all come together on. Elon's mission, and the mission of Tesla, is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. And I happen to think that's a respectable goal. Tesla makes great cars, so if any folks out there are considering going electric, I'm going to share my referral code right here. Just scan it with your phone or hit the link in the video description. Seriously, great car. Let's all swallow our pride and help out our boy Elon with his mission. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'm sure the comment section is going to be rational, civil, and empathetic. Thanks for watching.